everyone, good evening and welcome to our book launch in the Luna Press Zoom studio. I am here tonight with Lorraine Wilson. Welcome, Lorraine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hi.
And for those of you that don't know me, I am Francesca Barbini, the owner of Luna Press Publishing. So the launch for tonight, it's for Lorraine's second novel, The Way the Light Bends. And with this book, we are moving from the speculative fiction of This Is Our Undoing into the territory of dark fantasy, folk horror. So, this is a new world. Here we go. It's so nice to have you back with us, Lorraine. So thank you for joining us. So I would like to start, first of all, for you to introduce yourself to our viewers, for those of you that don't know you.
So I'm Lorraine Wilson. Hi, I am living in Fife. So I'm near St Andrews in Fife in Scotland. I am a conservation worker by training, and I now write speculative fiction influenced by folklore and the wilderness. That's me.
There is a lot in there, and I'm actually going to take the opportunity to talk a little bit more about This Is Our Undoing, because of course Lorraine's debut novel came out last year in August, and it was an incredibly beautiful book, marvelously written. And if you've missed that book launch or the readings, you can check our channel and catch up on the book, especially because the book has really garnered a lot of success. It was longlisted for the British Science Fiction Awards this year, is shortlisted for the Subjective Chaos kind of awards, and is shortlisted for the Cavia Awards, which are a brand new prize from the University of Glasgow. So it is an amazing read. And I would really, really recommend you to explore it. So I would like to ask Lorraine, now that it's almost a year since the debut novel, you know, how does it feel? How have things changed in your writing life? Anything you would like to share?
Yeah, quite a lot. It feels like it's been quite a ride the last year. So this time last year, we were building up to the release of This Is Our Undoing, and that was it. I had that book in process, and I was working on a few other things, but basically I had my debut novel coming up and just lots of hopes for other things. And then I signed The Way the Light Bends with you, which was fantastic to come back to the Luna Press for a second time. And then I signed with an agent and signed a publishing deal for my third book, which with another publisher, Fairlight Books, which will be coming out next year. So yeah, it just feels like things have moved on a lot in a year, and the reception that This Is Our Undoing has just been fantastic. I mean, it sounds, you listing those award listings just sounds so surreal.
It is truly deserved, absolutely. But you've never really stopped working. I mean, obviously in the sense that you've been so active, you've been invited to talk various panels, and you've done podcasts, you've done interviews, but you've also been very busy with something which is incredibly important, and is a mentorship program called Rewriting the Margins. And would you like to tell us a little bit more about the program? You know, what does it entail? Who is it for?
Yeah, so that was something that I launched in the autumn, and it's a mentorship program for underrepresented writers. So writers who are from the LGBTQI+ community, writers who are writers of colour, working class and disabled or chronically ill writers. So anybody whose voices are kind of missing or poorly represented in the publishing industry. And it felt like something that it's something I've always wanted to do. Even before I was published, I knew that when I had the platform and the position to do something, I wanted to try and support other writers. And once This Is Our Undoing was out, I kind of thought, okay, now I can do something. So it was a case of thinking about what form that would take and what I could, what I was qualified to offer, and what gaps in the market, I guess there were, although it's not a market, but you know what I mean. So I started it, I think, in September, and I take on a couple of mentees each month. It's free because cost is obviously often an issue for marginalized people. And over the course of the month that I mentor them, I will provide editorial critique on a piece of their writing, whatever that is. It can be short stories, it can be the start of a novel, it can be a submission package, whatever they need. And obviously my critique varies depending on the stage they're at and what they need from me, but within the month I get that back to them and we have a chat about any further questions they have. And it's actually been wonderful. It's been a really rewarding experience. I mean, I wish the need wasn't there for it, if that makes sense, but it is, the need is there, and it's lovely to be meeting these writers and to be part of their journey towards publishing, and hopefully just giving them a little bit of a boost to take the next step. So yeah, it's been, I'm really glad I'm doing it. I'm glad I gave myself that kick and sort of took the jump into it.
It's been incredibly well received, absolutely. And you're right, we wish there, that there was no need for something like this, but there is. And so, and you are in a very good position as well, because you've been through the path of of publishing, and you understand things from a very close point of view, as well. So it really puts you, after working with editors, and obviously not just with press, but with your other publisher as well. All of these help you as well to establish, your credential, as you mentioned before. But obviously, the way you write, we certainly wouldn't have doubted the credential to begin with. But I know what you mean. It's nice to get the, obviously, I think for the authors that approach the mentorship as well, to know that you are recognized. I think it's important as well, because they feel that they are in good hands. And we can add that they are in great hands. So there you go. And now you mentioned finding an agent. So you're represented by Robbie Guillori. What would you like to say about the process of finding an agent? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a really hard process, and I think everybody who has tried to dip a toe in the publishing waters knows that rejection is a very large part of the whole thing, and finding an agent is tough, and it can take a while, and sometimes it doesn't work for one book, but it will work for the next. And so much of it is sort of about the right book finding the right agent at the right time, and it's often not a measure of the quality of your book, but just of the fit between your book and your agent. So I had an agent years ago, actually, and then she left publishing, which happens a lot more often than you realize when you start out as a writer. So I've kind of been on this merry-go-round for a while. But I met Robbie as part of a networking day with the Scottish BIPOC Writers Network. And the moment I met him, I knew he was somebody I would love to work with. He's so passionate and so author-centered, so sort of kind and just supportive. And you get that sense with people, like I got with you, Francesca, when I first spoke to you. I just knew you were someone I would love to work with. And I got the same kind of feeling from Robbie. And I think that that's really, really important, because you have to absolutely trust your agent and your editor. So yeah, I was very keen to work with him, and I was very lucky that he kind of felt the same way. And yeah, so I signed with him just before Christmas and have just sent him my next book. So book number 4 has just gone to him to be read. So yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. That is fantastic. So that then leads us, speaking of new books, we're gonna come back now to The Way the Light Bends. So before we start, I would like you all to take a moment and admire this gorgeous new cover by J. Johnson. Now it's time to talk about the book itself. So Lorraine, would you like to tell us the story behind The Way the Light Bends? What inspired you to write this book? Because of course you always explore relationship really well, especially familial relationships. So and this book obviously has a lot of it and more. So tell us more about the book. Take us behind the curtains, as it were.
Behind the curtains. Well, weirdly, with most of my books, it started with a place rather than a character or a plot or anything like that, like most normal writers. And it started with the cathedral in St Andrews in Aha. And for those of you who don't know, the cathedral at St Andrews is a big ruin. So it's very, very ruined, and it's beautiful, it's lovely. And the Ha's are an East Coast Scotland speciality. They are a sea mist that comes in on warm, sunny days. So you have a lovely sunny day, and then this mist just rolls in off the sea, and it's very low-lying, very dense fog, and is incredibly atmospheric. So I had this image in my head of the Ha in the cathedral grounds, and there's something about the liminality of broken spaces that I love. So the broken archways in the cathedral are a very liminal, very sort of evocative space. And then I feel like the Ha itself carries a liminality with it too. It's very sort of otherworldly. And so both of them combined, the sort of broken arches of the cathedral and the Ha itself, I had that image in my head, and I had a sort of question of the idea of somebody looking through those arches in the Ha and seeking something that they'd lost. And it got me thinking about what is it that people, what might you lose that would make you search so hard in such a sort of fantastical place? What makes you step outside your own logic to seek answers or to seek hope in the fantastical? And the obvious answer to that is grief. So the sort of starting theme came from there, and came from the question of what happens to a person when they lose the person that anchors them in their family or in their life, in their world. And if you become that lost, how do you find yourself again? And where do you go looking for answers? And what happens if you look in the wrong places for those answers? So that was kind of the starting point for me, was the liminal spaces and what it takes to make us look in the shadows and in the borderlands for hope or for a way forward. And then it kind of grew around that, and I had my two sisters who are more or less estranged, and they've lost their brother, and it's both of their journeys through grief, and from that place of complete loss, and how they then navigate their way through that. So yeah, so do you want a wee summary of the plot?
Yes, please. I like that.
So I shall try and do that, Kieran. So we have my two sisters, Tamsin and Freya, and they have lost their brother. He's died of cancer, and a year after his death, his twin sister Tamsin goes missing. So we follow Tamsin through her diary entries from her brother's death to the point where she disappears. And we then follow her older sister Freya from the moment when Tamsin disappears, as Freya tries to trace what has happened to her sister. And because they didn't get on, they're almost estranged. Freya is trying to find her sister, in both senses of the word, find this person that she barely knew, as well as finding the answers to what has happened to her and what drove her to this disappearance. So it's full of family, and the way that family can often be the thing that hurts us most, but also the thing that saves us. And the Scottish folklore is there, very much intertwined with the human heart, I think, and the kind of the way that when we are most under stress, when our emotions are at their darkest, that's kind of indelibly linked to our superstitions and our faith and our willingness to step beyond our sort of logical self into our illogical self, and bargaining with the universe, and so much of that is kind of at the heart of folklore, that it seemed an obvious kind of other level to the story, if you like.
Absolutely. Thank you. This is it's obviously I have read the book, so I can read a lot into what you're saying, and I can tell you, readers, that you will not be disappointed. There is so much in the layers of this book, and I particularly love the journey that Freya takes to find her sister, really in ways that made her realize, I suppose, the things that she didn't see, and often is like that, just like you said, family, people say, you can't choose family. That's right. But sometimes we're so focused on our own circumstances and path and and travels, that we don't look close enough at the people that share our pool of DNA as well, and we are pleasantly surprised even sometimes, if you were to look closely, and maybe at how similar you turn out to be as well. So there is certainly a lot, and of course the mystery, because you weave this mystery throughout, which is okay, not gonna say anything else, right? So but it's a mystery that push you through through the book, because you want to know more. You really want to turn in the pages and find out more. I love folklore, and the Scottish folklore is incredibly interesting, and we are very lucky to live in such a beautiful country that offers so much to the imagination, so very exciting. Well, then I think perhaps we might ask you for a little reading for us tonight.
A little reading, yes. Okay, hold on, let me just find my page.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a little reading from Tamsin's diary, and it is in October. So it's about 6 months after her brother has died and 6 months before she goes missing. And this is just a wee snippet of her thoughts from her diary. I used to think magic was real. Do you remember, Bobs? I was sure that it was only a matter of believing to render it true. Peter Pan, the never-ending story, they were my proofs. And you would cross your arms, grin at me and say, go on then, make it true. And you'd tease me when the lights and fairies that you demanded did not happen. But you didn't see what I saw. You didn't see, as I was so fiercely wishing, the butterfly gold as the sun tapping against the window, trying to reach me. You didn't hear the radio shift and squeal with other voices trying to be heard. I remember standing in the back garden on the 1st of December when we were 8 and wishing for snow. My hope formed clouds in front of my face, and I opened my palm to the sky, and I wished, and a snowflake landed on my palm. We built a snowman who fell over in the night, and we pelted Freya with snowballs until she retreated inside. I told you about wishing and the snowflake, and you laughed and said, next time wish us somewhere far away. When did I stop wishing? Was it when you died? I began again with Wells, almost, wishing for the peace he gave me, for belief in whatever he wanted to offer if it meant, I don't know, feeling less lost, having hope that nothing is certain and therefore nothing can be final. I think that's what it is. I don't believe in gods or heavens, but I do believe in physics and the fact that surely if any of the atoms of my body are entangled with any of yours, then you cannot be that far away. I believe there are wavelengths of light I cannot see, which means there could be things in front of me that are hidden only because I am too blind. And I think I could live with that, knowing that you are just a refraction away, concealed but not lost. You were so frightened at the end. But if this were true, then I think we might both find solace. Do you, wherever you are, see all the things Wells keeps secret, and the stories he tells of doorways and babies left behind? Do you see them as the lies of a lonely child, or as truths that I'm too cynical to fathom? I miss him, Rob, I do. He kissed me in a storm, tangled knots into my hair that stilled me. When I thought my own rage would break me, he drew circles on my skin and I stayed whole. I wanted to escape, and he tied blood into a thread around my wrist, showed me the moon's face on black water, and I stayed. It was as if you sent him to me, carved him out of an old song to help me keep my promises. And now he's gone, and you've gone, and I'm still here.
Oh, thank you so much, Lorraine. That was really, really beautiful. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. We are now in pre-order time, and the book is available for pre-order in ebook, hardback, and paperback. And you can find them not just through the Luna Press website, but also through all your usual channels. We are very close to the release date, of course, which is Tuesday, the 2nd of August. And we are very, very excited. There will be a lot of merriment and celebrations for the release of the book, of course. But you will find us on the Edinburgh Book Festival bookshop. We are present there online as well as in physical form. And of course, you will be able to see Lorraine at FantasyCon 2022, which will be at Heathrow. The website is up, so if you're thinking of going, Lorraine will be there, and you'll have a chance to see her and to get your book signed, of course. So Lorraine, before we finish, tell us, are you working on something at the moment? Something you can share, of course, you know.
Yeah, getting into all this kind of having to keep secrets and things. Well, I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, I just sent book 4 to my agent. So that's kind of off my plate at the moment. I have a novella that I'm still working on that's set in Iceland and full of sort of ghosts and recovery from injury. It's very dark and brooding, I think.
Nice.
So that's quite fun. I'm enjoying that at the moment. And I've got a couple of other things that I'm planning, and they're both very shiny new ideas for me at the moment. I don't know which one I'll actually run with. So
okay, so you are busy, and that is good. That's what we want more, because we are greedy readers. Absolutely. Listen, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was lovely to have you back in our little YouTube channel. So thank you for that, and thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight in this aperitif book launch with Lorraine Wilson and myself, Francesca Barbini, with the Luna Press family. So Lorraine, thank you again. Have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you very much. It's lovely to come back and do this again with you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for being with us. Have a good night, and pre-order The Way the Light Extends. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.